What's up, Giants fans? It's your boy Noname back at again with another New York Giants training camp video. Today was day 5 of the training camp, so I think it was the 4th public one, but the 5th one overall. Today's practice was a little bit more exciting than the previous ones in terms of there was a little bit more flashy plays going on. In general, it was a good practice overall for both the offense and defense. Got a couple standouts here. Now, a little disclaimer, I would like to say I did not get a chance to look at this one through any sort of live stream. They had to move the practice indoors. Excuse me, they had to move the practice indoors because of lightning strikes in the area and whatnot, but also because, I just was at home, so I didn't have the time to look at it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read a few reports, a couple websites out there, NJ.com, Giants.com, and Giants Wire. I think also Bleed Big Blue also has a couple articles online where they recap training camp, and I sort of just take the gist of each of them, roll it into one, and try to give you all some information in this video. So let's start off on the defensive side. A couple people that stand out. One dude that has been improving tremendously since he came back from his unfortunate injury is Corey Ballantyne, our cornerback out of Washburn, 6th round pick. And Ballantyne so far is having a great story. Obviously not the best start, but in terms of coming back from it, it's something quite inspirational. Since being able to come back in practice, on Saturday, we all know he had the interception on Daniel Jones, and then today, once again during the blitz period of practice, he had what a lot of people are calling the defensive play on practice, also on Daniel Jones. He was trying to make a tight throw, I think towards the back of the end zone to undrafted free agent tight end Garrett Dickerson, but Ballantyne intercepted it. He used his body and his wingspan to just kind of stretch out and get the ball. He also had another impressive play during the very last play of practice where he knocked away a pass from Kyle Lauletta. And to be honest, I'm not sure how impressive we should consider it. It was indeed a great defensive read. Not taking away anything from him. But once again, I want to point out towards the fact that I think Lauletta might be cut because he's kind of showing that he might not be fit for the NFL. Now, Ballantyne in general, he's been lucky, I guess you could say, in terms of playing time because of the unfortunate Sam Beal injury. And I'm really beginning to think of whether or not we're ever going to see this guy play for all the hype that he had around him last year and then the comeback hype that he had around him this year. But because of that, Ballantyne has been having a lot of playing time, and he's been showing us that he's definitely, in my opinion, worth more than a 6th round pick, and he was more or less a steal of the draft that the Giants found here. And that leads that now 2, if not all 3 of the cornerbacks that we picked up are all worth their picks because he's shown us that he can be a viable starter, definitely a great backup option. Sticking with the defense, we got another rookie out here, outside linebacker O'Shane Ximines, the X-Man, one of my favorite picks from the draft. I think my personal steal label, if there's anybody that was a steal, I think it's this dude if he lives up to his potential. Today he had another great day, displaying his quickness more so than his strength. In my opinion, he kind of played a little bit like Lorenzo Carter today. He had a couple of batted passes and 1 sack in the back. Now the story behind the sack is actually kind of a funny one, but also shows his growth. Him and Marcus Golden were getting some first team reps, with Eli on offense and whatnot. And a couple of defensive tackles were telling O'Shane that he was showing a little bit too much of what he's going to do on his inside tackling. So he worked on that today to fix it, and it worked out because he got into the backfield and would have gotten what is a sack. And one final play on defense, which was kind of a team effort, was a takeaway on wide receiver cornerback Antonio Hamilton tried to strip Russell Shepard the ball. It kind of fell onto the ground, and Julian Loves picked it up, which was listed as a fumble recovery, so more or less a team play between the backfield there, really showing the workings of James Bettcher's defense, which focuses more on incomplete passes and batting away passes, trying to cause fumbles rather than interceptions with a tough, gritty defensive backfield, and I like to see that. This right here shows us that we're progressing in the right direction, and that just gets me excited. So let's move on to the offense, starting off with our quarterback Eli Manning, who, by all reports here, it says that he had a great day today, a really sharp day. In general, so far his entire training camp, nothing but good news that I could say. His arm looks great, he's not getting tired, and according to Eli, that's because he did some type of baseball routine or something like that. Maybe he was practicing pitching baseballs. And for anybody out there who kind of follows football, a lot of the best quarterbacks today were once baseball pitchers, like Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson comes immediately to mind, and they have some of the best arms in the NFL because it takes a lot of strength and power to pitch a baseball skillfully, tactfully, and powerfully. And so apparently Eli's been doing something with baseball or the game of baseball to prepare for this training camp and this season, because he says it's helping him pay off after practices. His arm doesn't hurt as much. He could throw the ball easier than he did, say, last year and whatnot. In general, it's just helping him out, especially with his arm strength. Today, though, he had a great practice. He had a couple touchdowns to Evan Ingram and Benny Fowler during the red zone drills. He also got some to Golden Tate, which was a deep throw, in fact. Like I said, that arm strength showing up. Maybe his training's paying off. Who knows? And you can tell that he's trying to work with what he has here. We all know we're down a couple of wide receivers. It may be the end of the world. It may not. Who knows? We've seen crazier things happen. But Eli's keeping with it. He's working with what he's got. And by the looks of it, he's relying on two guys that might have to step up. Definitely Evan Ingram, I think, will have to step up. And he's shown that in practice. He had another good one. Another good practice day. In fact, he's the next person I'm going to talk about. And he's working on still getting that chemistry with Golden Tate for whenever he returns if he becomes suspended. So next up, like I said, was Evan Ingram. And Evan Ingram really sort of stepping into a role, and I'm glad to see that, stepping into that role of now he's going to have to shoulder a lot of passes and be a main weapon on offense. Not that he wasn't going to be it before, it's just more so a bigger load on him now since we're down a couple receivers. And Ingram loves to be back on the field because during spring practices and OTAs, he was sidelined with a hamstring strain or a hamstring injury, whatever you want to call it. But he's great to get back in there, showing the athleticism that we drafted him for, making a couple one-handed catches in practice, which is a good thing for me, not because of its flashiness, but because one of my main concerns with Tate last year was his inconsistent hands, which definitely improved as the season went on. But it's nice to see that he's keeping that consistency with his hands now. So yeah, he had the one-hand touchdown during the blitz period, and he also had a nice catch with a good yards after catch on a deep slant where he ran down the sideline, showing off his speed. All in all, it was his best practice so far. I expect nothing but big things from him coming this season. Next up is Golden Tate, who seems to have been playing with a chip on his shoulder since the whole PD or violation of the drug use policy came out. Like ever since that came out, he's been having his best practices like all in one row. He's not been dropping anything. He's been getting open every time, catching anything that comes his way, making great yards after catch plays and just plays where he shimmies around defenders and whatnot. Like just literally ever since that report came out, guys, I'm telling you, he's been playing with a major chip on his shoulder, and I like to see it because he's playing like a true number one out here. Today he had a couple of deep passing routes, a couple of deep outs which he went up and caught. He baited one, I think, defensive pass interference play on Jabril Peppers, kind of playing Peppers there a little bit, getting the refs to call the pass interference. And in general, he's just been a great target today for Eli. He was one of his favorite targets because, like I said, anything that went his way, it seems like he wasn't dropping, and he seems like he really could have caught anything today. Tate is really kind of performing out of his mind. I hope he keeps that same physicality and mentality when the season comes, because if his appeal goes through, well, what can I say? We're going to need it. And even if his appeal doesn't go through when he comes back, why not have that same type of performance? You know what I'm saying? And the last player I want to talk about today is Sterling Shepard, who, even though has fractured his thumb, he has not been out of practices at all. Since he fractured his thumb, he's still in practices, whether it's on the sideline, speaking with coaches, getting that football IQ up, looking at the defenses, maybe learning how to read defenses better, or doing what he did today, which was trying to make a couple one-handed catches, really still being on the field, still running around, still being involved in drills. I wanted to talk about it because it just shows great leadership skills and great morale to the team. It's just a great example, as he is now one of the leaders of the locker room, being, I think, the leaders of the wide receiver room specifically would be Tate and Shepard. And him showing that, hey, I just fractured my thumb, every other part of my body is still working. I'm still going to be out there trying to help the team without being a detriment to myself. Because he's still, obviously going to favor the hand with the thumb that's fractured. But like I said, he's still trying to make catches with one hand, sometimes cradling it in and using the other hand to keep it stable and whatnot. But he's still out there running routes, learning the offense, getting used to whatever it is we're going to be doing this year, and in general being a good leader, leading by example. So that's what I got for y'all today. Put your comments down below and let me know what you all think. Who was your favorite standout today? And since I had a couple of rookies in there, who's your favorite Giants rookie? Let me know. Comment, share, subscribe. I'm out. You're